So the other day I asked my mom if it was the same raising boys as it is girls. Like, does she think it's the same? Because she only has male grandkids. And we were talking about, how some people think it doesn't matter which sex you have, like it's just the way we treat the kids, and um, uh, w- girls are at least as aggressive as boys. Like there's all this, what came first, sort of the chicken or the egg. And so I wanted to see my mother's perspective. She said, and she has two boys and a girl. She said, "Not with you." And I was like, "No, it's me. What does that mean?" My brother later told me, like, "Why are you asking her questions like that? Like, what are you trying to scratch some itch that just doesn't, I don't know." He thought it was pretty controversial. I thought, my whole life I heard, "Oh, it's so nice to have a girl, because she's female, I'm female. There's some kind of like mother-daughter connection that she really likes, and she's so glad she had a girl," all of this stuff, all of growing up. So I thought, like, hey, let's hear, what is the difference? Why is it special to have a girl? Why was it different for you? But apparently it was controversial because she said, "Not with you." And as she said, "I tried to be close with you. I wanted a girl. I wanted that connection, and you never gave me any of it." And I was like, "Wait, what?" Because I remember always being told that I sort of changed, that I was a good girl, and until I reached teenagedom. So I was like, "Mom, are we talking about, kids, my brother's kids' age, like they're under 10?" And she's like, "Yeah, not with you, not ever." I was like, huh. I remember being so compliant. Like my mother picked out my bat mitzvah dress. My mother told me what to wear whenever company was over. I was afraid to have an opinion because I didn't want to embarrass people in case I was, doing me wrong. I don't, yeah, like I remember wanting to please, yes, until I hit teenagedom. But I think that's when you've accumulated 10 to 12 years of information, and now you start having opinions about it. They might clash with the people who raised you, which is, I think, what happened. But, um, but I didn't know that I wasn't being warm or anything. But I do remember wanting to be a boy, and it wasn't a transgender thing. It was because I don't relate to that feeling when I hear about that. It was more of like in my culture, and I think most cultures that I know of, whether they be religion like Muslim, Christian, Judaism, or culturally from specific countries, there's a hierarchy. And the man in all cultures that I know of, the man in the hierarchy is always first, usually below God, then the woman, and then the kids, meaning like your word is more what we're going to go by. And that hierarchy existed. And what I realized is that hierarchy is not just the adults, it's between the kids also. So although I had a younger brother, he was allowed to do things more than I was. And when I asked, it was because, hey, he's a boy. You don't get to um, be independent. He's working on being independent. Like the rest, this was not explained. It was just, he's a boy, you're a girl. But from what I see, is he's working on being independent. You have to work on how to be a good dependent. And you have to find a man who's dependable so that you can be his next in line. And so this was across the board. So I wanted to be a boy so I can have the privileges and the leeway and the control that they got to have over their lives a little more than what I felt girls were allowed. Again, in the culture that I was raised in, but I'm gonna guess it's the culture that you were raised in also, because I was raised on this planet. So what I did was I apologized, because it was not only that, she was saying things like, you really you pushed it, you weren't, like, I wasn't a good kid. And there was a time, like, yes, I was lying to them, and thinking about it as an adult, I was a pain in the ass, to say the least. I scared them, like sometimes I disappeared, like because I wanted to go out and I thought they'd be sleeping, and you wake up, your kid's not there. Like, I get it, and we didn't have phones, and so I apologized. And that's all I did, and I think for the first time, my mom got to experience, her side of things without somebody defending it, without me defending it. And I told this to my friend my friend Carrie of, Carrie Gravenson of Gilmore Friends. Anyway, and she said, "But what about your feelings?" And I know I'm misrepresenting what you said, Carrie, but this what it did, whatever you said to that realm, I did have to think about, because what happens is if I don't consider my feelings or what my side of the story is, I might, put myself in sort of like this toxicity that I can get to with my family. Um, so I thought about it and I thought, like, yeah, not here, not now. Maybe that's not the right way to respond, but it's the way that I want to respond now. I don't want to defend myself. I want to say, like, yeah, that's not how I want to respond anymore. I don't think that's how I wanted to respond then. I never wanted to really lie to them, but, like, if you lie, then you wanted to. I wanted to do what I wanted to do, and she was saying that. She's like, "You want to do what you wanted to do," but I think she saw that as male traits, which is very interesting. But again, in the culture, in most cultures, men are allowed to do that. They are allowed to be loud and try crude jokes and you know um and reject you as parents and be cold and aloof and um I don't know. I remember putting on that front and becoming that more because I didn't want to be treated like a girl. So if you do act aloof and tough and with less emotion, then you might not get treated like a girl. Again, growing up. Now I know like a girl means something different. And just in general, I don't have to behave a gendered way, but I do think that comes with like a privilege that I am choosing, what is me instead of what is my gender or sex. But it also comes with like, you could lose your whole community. I get that. You don't behave a certain way. You lose some of the strings that are still holding you up. So it's all of a very big decision of how to react to the rules of whatever it is that you're growing up with, knowing that everyone is trying their best and it's not going to be as good as later when you have all the information and when, you realize, oh, love isn't, infatuation and obsessiveness and protection in certain ways, a separation from others, like love is more warm and welcoming, but, you know, you could swing the pendulum the other way and get in trouble that way. So I don't know. I think we did what we did. I apologized to my mother. She got to hear an apology. I got to say like, hey, I'm not like I got to not defend myself because I feel like, okay, she's heard that I'm also a good person. She's acknowledged that I was fun and funny. Now let me acknowledge that also I was a pain in the butt. And we'll just leave it at that and see if like if she can let it out without somebody pushing back against her, maybe that's as much as she'll have to let it out, but we'll see. And maybe I learned something. I didn't know my mother wanted more warmth from me. Okay. I could try that. I like being warm. It does feel a little uncomfortable. It's a very vulnerable thing that I had to like work on. So maybe she was right. Maybe I was colder, but I was putting on a cold front. So maybe it became me. I don't know because I don't remember. I don't remember my childhood very much. I have glimpses of some things. So, yeah, I think I was good. I think I was bad. I'm going to keep trying. Hit that subscribe, but no, don't, like, it doesn't help to say weird or different. Uh, do I need to tell you to hit a subscribe? Do I need to tell you this? Let me know in the comments. Okay, bye.